Hey folks! It's time for another YouTube video. That's so dumb. Oh, cut. Okay, so this video, I had no idea what will be the title, but it will be about, let's pick a topic, why you should be a bad person, right? Why it's so important for you, if you want to function well in this society or any society, to be a bad person, right? There's no point in being a good person at all. You get nothing from it, except a good life, of course. But I mean, other than that, there's no point. So don't just forget about the whole point of. Just forget about being good in life. That's the point of this video. That's 40 seconds. That's better than last time. So we're gonna make this video shorter than 10 minutes as usual. But yeah, I kind of felt the last one was a bit too slow in getting going. So we're gonna start this off by saying, stop being you, right? Stop being you right now. Be someone else, and I'm gonna tell you exactly who you're gonna be. I'm gonna light the cigarette, and I'm gonna tell you. I don't know, is that allowed to smoke? Well, who cares? Who the fuck cares, right? And that's who you're gonna be, right? The one guy who doesn't give a fuck. Because know this: if I know anything in this world, and I don't know anything, is that people don't give a shit about you. They really don't. And this is not a bad thing. This is what you have to understand. It's not a bad thing. I mean, you should do the exact same thing, but slightly different, of course. Because you don't want to be like everybody else, because everybody else is a piece of shit, basically. Of course they're not, but I mean, they have more shit in them than like holy water, right? So what I'm saying is, be a shitty person. Act shitty. Ignore people. When a guy comes up to you and wants to be a friend and acts friendly towards you, just ignore him completely. You don't have time for this bullshit of being nice, and fuck that. You have to remember, you have to be a bad person. You simply have to be a bad person. You know why? Because if you were to be a good person, you'd have to help. And the persons you were going to help would be normal persons, right? And normal persons, they never return the favor. So if you're nice to them, friendly, welcoming, respectful, blah blah blah, all that good stuff, they'll never, in full at least, I mean, maybe they'll return it slightly for you to keep on going, being nice and giving them stuff, but they'll never return it. I mean, you'll always be left with less than what you started. So say you have $1,000 and you start giving them to people, you'll end up with $0 at some point. At least if you give them to normal people, because they'll take like slightly more than they give. So they'll take $2 and give you back $1. And so if you give to 500, I mean, or if you give to 1,000 people, you'd be out of money very fast. I mean, you could do it within an hour. You would be out of $1,000, right? And that wouldn't be good if you had no money, if you had no other money or income. So I mean, maybe this video will be short, because that's really the point. In short, be a bad person. And go like fuck the rules. Of course, not directly, but indirect or behind the scenes, you should go fuck the rules, right? Fuck the rules. I mean, of course you should follow the rules, but you should always keep in mind that the rules are stupid and they're fucking shit. Everything is shit. Everybody is shit. So you should be a shit too, in order to kind of get by or get through the day. Because if you're not, I mean, of course it will be a horrible day, because you'll go on and give and be a good guy, and nobody will give a shit, right? Because they're shit. Or most people, at least. By far, the vast majority. I mean, I would say that every single person that you can categorize as a normal person, and this has been the case for thousands of years, is a piece of shit. No doubt about it in my mind. They are a piece of shit, and it's only natural. It's much more easy to be a piece of shit, and you should be too. At least that's what I'm trying to convince you. I mean, you could also be a good person. I mean, maybe that's like the second half of this video, because now we're closing in on the 5-minute mark, and the video is lagging. And so, the second half of this video, I find now, will be about this. You have to be a good person, otherwise you will just be like all the other shits. And the reason why is because if you're a shit, you'll have a normal life and be a normal person. That's all fine and well, but I can guarantee you, as a good person myself, that all the normal people are not happy. But they might pretend to be happy. Most normal people pretend that they are very happy. So that's a part of being a shit. That's I overhear a lot of conversations when I'm going about my daily routines. And one conversation was the most stupid conversation I ever heard. Or the most stupid conversation I've heard in a very long time, and it basically went like this: my father is the best because he owns a company and it's worth millions. And then the other person said, yeah, but I have a brother who's studying medicine and a sister who's a very famous actor and blah blah blah, and it went on and on and on like this. And there was no no other content of that conversation than mere bragging, and it didn't really matter if it was true, because they just kept on topping, like going over the last person who spoke. I think it was 3 or 4 persons, and they went like, oh, but me, and it was basically just, I'm not particularly great myself, because none of them were, of course, but I have a really, really great family, and I have a really great girlfriend, and some really, really great friends, and everything around me is really, really cool, so of course I must be cool too. And by that logic, of course, even a shit, like a literal shit, can be a beautiful, well smelling, like the most beautiful item in the world if it's surrounded by beautiful things. And of course that's nonsense. I mean, a shit will never be and a shit will never smell good or feel good or taste good or whatever, right? Or look good. It'll just be a shit. It'll just look like a shit. And you can surround it with the most beautiful and items that smell good and look good and feel good, but if you get them away, all the beautiful stuff, you still grab the shit and it's still a shit. So in that, I don't know if I can say shit, but what the hell. What I'm trying to say is, if you're a bad person, a shitty person, if you're a piece of shit, it won't matter what you do and who you surround yourself with. You'll still be a shitty person. So in that sense, you would think, I need to change myself, right? But that's not true. Actually, you have to change the people around you, because they do reflect on you. But it's not you do have to change yourself to a mindset where you make all the people around you beautiful and good, and they will reflect on you and give you back what you give them, in a sense. So if you make everybody around you good and beautiful, they will in turn make you good and beautiful, right? Even though you are a piece of shit, and I sure am a piece of shit, but I have plenty of good people around me. So what I'm saying is, be good. For God's sakes, be good. Because if you're bad, it's an easy life, it's a normal life, and you can do that. That's fine. That's totally fine. But you'll never be happy. That's what I'm saying. You'll never be happy. And since the dawn of mankind, basically, or at least since we could comprehend, a sentence or a few sentences, the goal has been to have a good life before you die. Because death, most people think, is very bad, and life is very good, because they are opposite, and of course they're not opposites. But anyways, that's the deal, and you want to have the best life possible, and the only way you can do this is to be a good person. That way, you are surely gonna have a good life. If you're, say, a bad person, this will never happen. You'll have a normal life and you'll be forgotten. Nobody will care about another shit dying, right? So, for the love of God, or whatever you believe in to be true, be a good person, right? And that is that.